Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to be checking out a video titled 3 American Myth We Don't Believe Anymore After Living in Europe. So this is coming from the Baguette Bound channel. So if you guys have never heard of them before, a link will be in the description and in the pinned comment section. Go check them out, show them some love. A video talking about myth should be a good video. So without further ado, man, let's get right into this video. And if you have any recommendations, leave those in the comment section down below. And shout out to the Baguette family. And yeah, let's get right into this video.
There are 3 beliefs about life in the US that Americans, including us, tend to grow up with.
I think we didn't even realize the extent to how ingrained these ideas are in the psyche of Americans until after we left the US.
Yeah.
It's almost a little like brainwashing.
A little bit. But now that we live abroad in France, we realize that these almost universally held American beliefs aren't really so true. Hi, I'm Raina.
I'm Jason.
And we're Baguette Bound.
When you grow up in the US, you're surrounded by American flags. You recite the Pledge of Allegiance every day in school, right? And you're told both directly and indirectly all the time that the US does everything the best. But then when you move somewhere,
Literally one of the biggest lies. The more you get exposed to the world is the more you find out that that's not true. There are certain things that the United States stands out with, and most of those things are business-wise, financially, and those financial business aspects do not benefit the rest of the population. And that's like one of the most unfair situations that most people don't realize. You know, we talk about, oh, America is rich. Okay, cool. Are you rich? You're not.
or else, for us it was France, you realize that lots of other places in the world actually do a little better.
Yeah, it sounds so ridiculous and egotistical, I know, but when you grow up in a country as big and as isolated from other countries as the US is, you just really genuinely don't know and haven't seen anything different.
Yeah.
Then when you do see those other places and you realize like, whoa, there's places where people have like universal high quality healthcare and affordable education, and it's statistically much safer than the US. Like, it really just shocks your American brain.
Yeah.
There's also this like weird, pervasive belief that because the US is the greatest country on earth, if they haven't figured it out, probably no one has.
Yeah. This can include some really...
That's really true. I remember before moving to Europe, I was literally asking questions. I was like, so where do you guys drive? Like, what side of the road? Blah, 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 blah. Because I was thinking that in the United States is so special, only place that does it. Shit, I was wrong. Majority of the countries in the entire world drive the same way that the United States drive. But things like that you wouldn't know unless, you give yourself an opportunity to actually learn things about other countries.
Really basic things, even like basic water sanitation.
Yep.
We had friends and family that came and visited us here in France recently, and they had to ask if they could drink the water. They'd actually brought with them a whole set of advanced water purification equipment, and they were brushing their teeth with bottled water at first before we could...
Yeah, flexing my European water right here. This came from the tap. Nah, this is a real fact, because when I just moved to Finland, I didn't drink the water from the tap. I'm just being honest. I was walking throughout the store searching for water, and I just couldn't accept the fact that water was potentially possible to drink from the tap. I just couldn't accept it because I was like, that's not possible, right? Until one day I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. I was like, that thing tastes good though. And then I became hooked on it, like literally hooked on it. I've never ever purchased a bottle of water in Finland before, ever. Though I wanted to do it, I never did it. And I'm happy that I never ever did it. And I'm happy that the possibility that I can drink from the tap is literally here in Finland, and it's a real situation in the United States. You cannot drink the tap water in a lot of states in the United States, and even if you can, majority people resort to buying water from the stores like Walmart and all these other water brand manufacturers. So this is a very, very true statement.
You could talk to them and assure them that tap water is perfectly safe.
France is another advanced country.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we thought this was actually even more funny because Evian water from Evian, France sells in the US for like $5 a bottle. And so when you're in the US, you can drink French water, but not when you're in France. I don't know, struck us as a little funny.
Yeah. You know, another commonly held American truism is that Americans are somehow just more free than people in other democracies. You know, even our national anthem, which we sing.
We said that at the same time. I don't know if you guys heard when I said that. The like, that's crazy.
All the time. It includes the line, you know, the land of the free, the home of the brave. But what does that land of the free actually mean?
Right.
What liberties exactly do people have in the US that they don't have in so many other places around the world?
Yeah.
You know, not long ago, we heard someone describe the difference in how Europeans and Americans view freedom. And it really struck home. It really captured the spirit of, I think, what we've observed here. You know, I think that Americans want the freedom to, you know, the freedom to carry a gun, to do what they want, when they want, to practice their religion openly, to choose how to spend all their money.
Yeah, and the contrast to that was the idea that Europeans are looking more, they see freedoms from. So freedom from the threat of violence, freedom from dying, lack of due to health care, freedom from having a religion.
That's a good concept. Freedom from, freedom to, right? And if I'm being honest, freedom from is kind of better because I could say I want the freedom to M-word people, you know, get them out of here. But I want to be free from, you see what I'm talking about? I don't know when were these guys doing this video and they thought to themselves, let's concept something, and they thought about the from and the to, because to be free from something is better than to be free to do something. That makes sense. So quite good concept, if I may say. You guys can let me know what you think about it, but indeed I totally agree. In Europe you do have the freedom from debt because of a healthcare situation. I can tell you I've never been in this situation for myself because I've been, you know, quite fortunate, thanks to God, because I have not had any severe medical issues throughout my entire life. However, I had one friend in the United States who she has debt on debt on debt because she was born with unfortunate situations, and she had cancer that came, went, came again, went, came again. So she has had an insane battle with medical bills. So don't you dare think that insurance can actually help you in those situations. It really cannot, right? So it's quite unfortunate, but I think these guys are telling the absolute truth.
Posed on them, freedom from pollution and toxins in their environment and food. So I don't know, we were talking about this concept of what American freedom is. Feels like it's become really extreme in the last few years. Meaning in the US now, like certain groups expect their own personal freedoms to trump everything else, no matter the cost to society or their fellow Americans.
Yeah, and as an American, the intensity of this individualism, I think it can color how you view the policies of the other countries out there.
Definitely.
You know, because you don't always realize or have the context to realize that these policies, they might mean different forms of freedom and still make for a more stable, fair, open, and enjoyable society.
Yeah. So, I mean, lastly, the thing that has changed that we see differently now is quality of life and how we define it. In the US, when we lived there, versus now in France and Europe. When I was a kid in the US, my definition of like what quality of life or growing up and being able to have a good life was, it kind of revolved around how much money I could make when I grew up. That sounds embarrassingly materialistic. And it kind of is. But I mean, the honest thing is to be able to buy more, bigger, nicer, better things. It's just like a big focus of American culture. You see it on TV and movies and advertisements. So, I mean, that soaks in even when you're a kid. The house you can buy, the car you can drive, the size of the TV you have. If you buy your clothes or your candles from like certain shops, that all kind of paints a picture and defines if you have a good quality of life in US culture.
Yeah, I think, and maybe in other words, being visibly wealthy is just a stand-in for quality of life in the US. Yeah. So I think American people will sometimes say that the quality of life is lower in Europe. And why? Because that's what you can see. Europeans tend to make less money, have lower incomes.
Honestly, I'm being so honest with you. From an outsider point of view, if I was supposed to compare the life quality in Europe to the United States, I would say the life quality in Europe seems through the roof. It just seems better. Like, I look at Europeans, and I'm not talking Europeans by descendants or all that color shit that we do. I'm talking about people who freaking live in Europe and adopt or practice the lifestyle of Europe. So all European countries, everybody who lives here who does these exact same things. I look and I'll see people dressed in the most fancy shit and I'm like, my gosh, I'm in sweatpants for crying out loud, right? And then you'll see them at these restaurants. I'm not even pulling up to damn restaurants because I'm like, I'm gonna try to get me some fried chicken or something. I'm gonna try to get me a burger or something, right? That's what I'm talking about. And that's what you see across Europe, right? However, in the United States, only people you see do that, dress nicely, are the people you'll see on Wall Street in New York or probably in California somewhere with the rich boys and the rich girls. That's it. That's the reality of eye test, right? That is what you will see in the United States on average. A sweatpants going to fast food restaurant. That don't look like a high quality of life to me, right? However, there are many people who are living a high quality life in the United States, but it's this much. It's small. So, I don't know. Let me know what y'all think.
In smaller houses, they have fewer cars, they have tiny refrigerators. There's often no clothes dryers. What kind of place is this?
See this video.
Yeah. But we've come to understand that Europeans tend to have, I think they tend to be wealthier than Americans in two really distinct ways. Mm-hmm. That might be hard to see from the outside.
It's the lifestyle, man.
Maybe, probably define quality of life better than a simple GDP number or the number of seats in your SUV.
Exactly.
I think Europeans tend to have both more time and more peace of mind.
Yeah. I mean, I am not saying in any way that the French or Europeans in general they don't have worries, or they're like sitting around eating bonbons, or they never want to buy some, Air Jordans or an American-sized fridge.
Yeah.
None of that. But there's one really big difference, I think, that we've seen, and that is Europeans tend to have a value system around personal time and a social system that around basic human needs that support well-being.
Yeah, those two things, they come together for a quality of life that might be really hard to value on a graph or a balance sheet. The way you could, the stuff maybe in your house could be captured.
Yeah.
And what does those two things look like in France? There's just a deep respect for your free time to be able to spend with family and to do things for pleasure or maybe just intellectual interest.
Yeah.
This might mean that businesses are open for fewer hours, that work weeks are a little shorter, and workers generally get 5 weeks of vacation per year. And this all adds up to like more time for meals with family, more, access to high quality food. These are all things that are seen as essential parts of life.
Yeah.
I'm also not up at night worrying about how am I going to pay and buy my insulin? How am I going to pay for my daughter's education going forward?
So, I mean, again, it's...
Yeah, as a guy who doesn't have a child, thank God, I know it sounds harsh, but the reality is the way how this world is going. If having a child is on the forefront of your brain, I don't know, man. I don't know. What's on my forefront is, dude, am I gonna make it to tomorrow with all these threats about boom, boom, boom going on in this world? That's my focus right now. But outside of that, let's get back to the positive section of life. I think about this a lot of times. I think to myself, dude, being in Finland is actually a true, blessing, because if I was supposed to have a child here, right, that child would be entitled to health care. That child would be entitled to university, right? Because taxes and so on and so forth, we get the whole 9 yards. It's not free. But the point is, there's a system that allows for that to be possible. And I think about it and I'm like, bro, like if you were supposed to raise a child, they would be able to roam the streets freely. Like I wouldn't want them to just roam around, because you can't really, do that. Like the freedom is there and the possibility is there, but you don't want to, you don't want to extend that free range too much, because that's how shit get out of pocket really fast, right? But the possibility is there. So it's like Europeans need to, if they don't know this, be appreciative of where they are, because there are a lot of systems in place for Europeans to remain successful.
Not that life is easy, but there's a sense of ease and safety that I feel here in France that was just missing in the US. And I mean, this peace of mind feels worth way more than that overpriced Pottery Barn comforter ever did in the US.
Yeah, wealth as the US glamorizes it with more.
What y'all call, do you guys know what a comforter is? Because what do you guys call it? Like, is that even in Europe? Like, I'm sorry that I'm saying such a dumb statement, but is a comforter in Europe? Like, or do you guys have like a different name for it?
And flashier stuff. It just doesn't look the same to me now. And overcoming the idea that no one anywhere does anything better than the US, that Americans are somehow freer, or that America is the only place to find a high quality of life. These are all just myths that living abroad has kind of dismantled for us.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're hesitating to make the jump to live abroad, but it's your dream, don't let these internal beliefs that we as Americans kind of all get brainwashed into our whole lives. Don't let that stop you. Because you know what? You're American. You're very optimistic. You can do anything. And sometimes that means moving. Thanks for watching.
Abiento.
Yeah, go check out the Baguette Bound. Yeah, Baguette Bound. Go check them out, man. They're almost at 25,000 subscribers. I'm pretty sure they would love to get to 25,000. They're at 24.4. Go show some love to them, man. Great videos, as you guys just seen through this video. So, yeah. Thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know what your thoughts and feedbacks are on this video. And yeah, I'll see you guys in another video. I totally agree with them. There are a lot of myths regarding the United States compared to other countries. And I'm not saying that the United States is not great and it's not a beautiful place. It is great and it's absolutely beautiful. However, there are a lot of countries out there who are very much comparable, and life would be easier in those countries. Quite simple as that. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. I'm out of here. Peace.